Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We are very fortunate. We have His Grace Ram Girdhari Prabhu from Navi Mumbai. And Prabhuji is going to enlighten us from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 4, verse number 6 onwards. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam call. This is of my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. You may take over the call, Prabhu, when you are ready.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, all Vishnu Prabhupada. Thank you so much. There are two messages. One says I'm supposed to start from 6. Another message to me says I have to start from 7 verse. Can somebody clarify if it's 6 or 7?
7, Prabhuji, 7.
7. Okay.
Sorry, Prabhuji.
No problem. Savai Purvam Abhudraja Pandyo Dravidasattama Indradyumna Iti Kyato Vishnu Vrata Parayanam. Translation: This Gajendra had formerly been a Vaishnava and the king of the country known as Pandya, which is in the province of Dravida. In his previous life, he was known as Indradyumna Maharaja. Text 8. Sa ekadaradana kala atmavan grihita mauna vrata ishwaram harim jatadarastapasa aplutochutam Samarchayama Shakula Chalashramam. Indradyumna Maharaja retired from family life and went to Malaya Hills, where he had a small cottage for his ashrama. He wore matted locks on his head and always engaged in austerities. Once, while observing a vow of silence, he was fully engaged in the worship of the Lord and absorbed in the ecstasy of love of Godhead. Text 9. Yadrichaya tatra mahayasha muni samagamachishya ganai parishtrita tam vikshat akritarhanadikam rahasya upashinam rishishtrikopaha. While Indradyumna Maharaja was engaged in ecstatic meditation, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the great sage Agastya Muni arrived there, surrounded by his disciples. When the Muni saw that Maharaja Indradyumna who was sitting in a secluded place, remained silent and did not follow the etiquette of offering him a reception, he was very angry. Tasmaimam shapam adhadasha adha sadhur ayam dura markat buddhiradaya vipravamanta vishatam tamishram yata gajastabda matissa eva. Translation: Agastya Muni then spoke this curse against the king. This king Indradyumna is not at all gentle, being low and uneducated. He has insulted a Brahmana. May he therefore enter the region of darkness and receive the dull, dumb body of an elephant. Purport: An elephant is very strong. It has a very big body and it can work very hard and eat large quantity of food, but its intelligence is not at all commensurate with its size and strength. Thus, in spite of so much bodily strength, the elephant works as a menial servant for human being. Agastya Muni thought it wise to curse the king to become an elephant because the powerful king did not receive Agastya Muni as one is obliged to receive a Brahmana. Yet, although Agastya Muni cursed Maharaja Indradyumna to become an elephant, the curse was indirectly a benediction, for by undergoing one life as an elephant, Indradyumna Maharaja ended the reactions of all the sins of his previous life. Immediately after the expiry of the elephant's life, he was promoted to Vaikuntha Loka to become a personal associate of the Supreme Personality of God and Narayana in a body exactly like that of the Lord. This is called Sarupya Mukti. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This chapter, Gajendra returning to the spiritual world, where the current context explains about how did such a great king, Raja Indradyumna, became an elephant. This Gajendra Moksha, where Prabhupada is mentioning that Gajendra finally got a liberation called Sarupya Mukti, getting the same form as that of the Supreme Lord, which is called Sarupya Mukti. Prabhupada saying that Raja Indradyumna finally got completely freed from all the past accumulated sinful reactions. As usual, let us try to churn this current context through some lessons. We will learn 3 sets of lessons from this current context. This is not the first episode in Srimad Bhagavatam where disrespect caused disaster. So, if you remember Vritrasura's pastime, or episode of Vritrasura in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vritrasura episode begins with Indra's disrespect to Brihaspati. If you take Samudra Manthan pastime, where there's a fight between demigods and demons, the beginning point of that is Indra disrespecting Durvasa Muni. If you take Nalakvaran Manigriva's dealings with Narada Muni, because Nalakvaran Manigriva, being intoxicated, forgot to respect Narada Muni. Parikshit Maharaj and Shringi forgot to respect or did not get the necessary respect. We can go on and on and on. So, my first reflection is this point on disrespect versus disaster. In our spiritual journey, in the spiritual culture, one thing that is repeatedly being told and happens to be the basis of our spiritual consciousness, and that is called respect. Respect is not an option, nor it is a formality, nor it is a luxury, a respect to be given to devotees, respect to be given to well-wishers, respect to be given to those who have done even a slightest contribution for glorifying the Lord. That person commands respect. Instead of giving respect to such a person, if there had been disrespect, we listed examples, and there are several unlisted examples, and even in our own lives, we have experiences how disrespect can cause disaster. If we slightly analyze, where does the disrespect arise from? Because a person disrespects another person or another thing only if there is a dirt, unwanted propensity from him. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining, for us to respect every other living being, every other created being, every other created things, the root cause that is never taught, understood, is to identify Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nitya Das. When we do not have that understanding, when we do not have that clarity, then we tend to assume that I am the enjoyer, I am the beneficiary, and everything should be centered around me. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So when the Jivatma thinks that he is the doer, when the Jivatma thinks that he is the beneficiary, when the Jivatma thinks that he is supposed to be having control over the existence, then that thinking blinds his intelligence to get a reality check. So a person tends to disrespect when he is not understanding about his constitutional position. Why somebody is not able to understand the constitutional position? A person is not able to understand the constitutional position because he has enviousness towards the Supreme Lord, because of the misuse of one's own given independence, using which when somebody envied the Lord, then they are pushed to the material plane. And in the material plane, I am not able to think about myself, my constitutional existence, because I am constantly dwelling on everyone else, trying to find fault at them, envious of them, and fail to check within myself what I am supposed to be and what I am up to. So to summarize our first reflection, because of our enviousness, we are in this material world. And because of we being in this material world, surrounded by so many unwanted associations, surrounded by so much of an illusion, we tend to start to believe that I am this body and I am the enjoyer. And that propensity makes us to think that we are the beneficiary and start to disrespect everyone according to our own whims and fancies. And when such a thing happens, then we tend to commit mistakes. There is a saying in English. The saying is, give credit where credit is due. If we don't give credit to the right person at the right time, in the right proposition, then we are insulting. The point is, it is not just respecting the right person. It is about respecting the right person at the right time. And it is not just about respecting the right person at the right time, it is also in right proportion. Meaning, if I over glorify someone beyond my understanding, or if I under glorify someone without understanding the glories, both are an insult. For example, if I call any of my friends, family, or even any one of you saying that, hey Lakshmi Devi, hey Prime Minister, hey President. So if I call some adjectives, call some names, which are not directly mapped to our actions and performances, even though the names that were called are not abuses, but that mocking, that apparent over glorification, that apparent addressing of someone and positioning them above everyone can also see as an insult. It can be seen as somebody is insulting me. So, to put everything into the context, as a first reflection, I want to say disrespect leads to disaster. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Chaitanya Sikshamrita. In that, he explains, even if somebody is a cannibal meaning man-eater, he deserves respect just because he is in the human body. Because Durlabam Manusham Janma. So, in our culture, in our Krishna consciousness ethos, respect plays such an important role that anyone being disrespectful cannot continue to remain with their spiritual standing. So that is why any amount of disrespect is punished, and punished to an extent that the person realizes his mistakes. So the whole reflection of disrespect to disaster is something that we all need to be aware. Without proper respect, we will have consequences. And we explained about the entire chain, root cause of where the disrespect coming from. And we said it is about identifying ourselves with the body and being bodily conscious. And where does it come from? Because of misuse of independence and trying to leave Krishna's company, and then enviousness caused us to think we are the enjoyers. And with that propensity, all the actions and reactions are going to be going downward spiral, and hence disrespect is something that we have to fix it as an urgent and important agenda. No questions asked, simply rewind, simply surrender, simply accept the authority, and then Later, all the clarifications can be done. But by default, as soon as we realize that we are not this body but spirit source, even theoretically, the first thing that needs to be inculcated is, as a servant, I need to offer respect towards every living entity and not expecting any respect towards myself. Amanina manadena. The second reflection is, in the topic of respect, there is a very interesting attribute that we need to give importance, which is called giving attention to the details. The idea is that wherever and whenever or to whomever we have love towards, whomever we love, whenever we love, wherever we love, one of the aspects of love is such that a true love always commands giving attention to the details. The idea of a punishment, a curse, should not be seen as the devotee or a saint's shortcoming. It should be seen as the saint's blessings and requirement of a peace, harmonious society. So the second reflection is about giving attention to the details directly reflects upon our sincerity and surrender in Krishna consciousness. Suppose, for example, there is a surgery being done to one of our near and dear ones. I am sure we wanted to take opinions, second opinion, understand about the procedure, understand about the formality, get all the briefing done, ensure all the ingredients are provided, etc., etc. The idea is that when even the smallest attention is not given, in case of scenarios where the stakes are high, attention to the details are the only way by which things are handled well. That is why in governmental transactions, in financial transactions, in certain activities, we are supposed to be very careful and attentive. A friend of mine used to give a very funny example. The example he used to give is, he runs a business in IVF industries. IVF is where the artificial insemination process, where people go for IVF test tube baby and things like that. So he runs a business. So he used to make a very important comment saying that, sir, in our business, there is nothing called as almost done. There is always yes or no. Baby has formed or baby has not formed. There is no concept called almost baby has formed. Almost the person has been conceived. Almost, there is nothing like almost. So my second reflection is that when we give attention to the details in Krishna consciousness, because of this process being so sublime and merciful, this Krishna consciousness process is being sublime and merciful, we are able to survive on the blessings and mercy of self-realized souls. Otherwise, the way we give attention to the details, at least I am not even fit enough to even speak on Bhagavatam, what to speak of, doing any service for that matter. So my second reflection is to say that in our devotional journey, can we learn to give attention to the details to the extent that the beneficiary, Supreme Lord, Vaishnavas, spiritual master, they are all pleased. So giving attention to the details is also not unilateral, that is explicitly towards our attention towards the Supreme Lord. In that sense, it is unilateral, but then it is not only us, everybody, every jiva, every adult is responsible for this conduct. So giving attention to the details happens to be my second reflection. And the more we give attention to the details, the more the Supreme Lord also starts to reciprocate. In our case, when we offer our prayers, when we offer oblations, when we offer any kind of respects to the Lord, we always have some requests to make to the Lord. Please provide me with this, please provide me with that, please take care of this, please take care of that. And when we do all those expressions, our genuine background desire is the Lord should listen to our prayers and immediately solve it. That is how we think. But this agenda of giving attention to the details will make us think that when I have not given importance to the Lord, I have not given enough importance to glorify the Supreme Lord, on what face value I can ask the Lord to look after me. It is not tit for tat, but it is about that if the Supreme Lord, who is Jagannath, who is master of the universe, is being considerate and trying to forgive our mistakes, it is our duty, our love, our maturity that we learn to give utmost attention to him that the Supreme Lord deserves. Even though we may not be physically be in a position to offer something to the Supreme Lord, but the very reason that our heart has got aligned to serve the Supreme Lord fully acknowledges us and helps us in making necessary progress. This is our second reflection. The third and the last reflection is, it is to be understood that when because Prabhupada is saying is that it is actually a benediction, not just a curse. The nature of a sadhu, the nature of self-realized soul is such that there is nothing inauspicious in them. Because they are beyond dualities, because they are beyond Dvandva Moha, they are operating on a transcendental plane, so much so that even their curse is a blessing, then what to speak of blessings from them? The curse is also a blessing. To easily understand, we can think of the example of mother punishing the son. How much ever the mother punishes the son does not get wounded or harmed by the mother. Even though the mother may be beating the son is always being loved by the mother, even in her anger. Srila Prabhupada says that the connection between Jivatma and Krishna, if we have to replicate or understand what it means the love mother shows towards her son or a daughter will tell what is unalloyed love means. This is about in general scenario. Nowadays there are different types of parenting has come up. That's another topic altogether. But Prabhupada at least says that the way a genuine mother feels for her son or daughter, similarly the Supreme Lord feels for each and every one of us. So in that spirit, the Supreme Lord is constantly working on helping us, rescuing us from this whirlwind. And in the course, he is empowering some acharyas, and those acharyas, because of them being empowered, will have the necessary blessings and necessary goodwill to transform us, whether they are cursing or whether they are blessings. So in this case, when Raja Indradyumna did not notice the Brahmanas assembled there, Parikshit Maharaj did not notice that the saint was in meditation. Like that, when Gopala Chappal did not realize about Srivas Thakur's position, inadvertently, they all had committed some offenses, hurting the sentiments of the Brahmana and Sadhu. Purusha Sukta says, Brahmanosya Mukamasid Bahura Janya Kritaha. Meaning, Brahmanosya Mukamasid. Brahmanas are called the mouthpiece of the Varnashrama Dharma. So, Brahmanosya Mukamasid, meaning if the Lord wants to communicate something to us, the Lord will communicate through a Vaishnava. And if the Vaishnava wants to correspond with the Lord, they simply extend themselves as servants and help all the children of the Lord and bring a smile in the Lord's face. So from that perspective, whether it is a curse or a blessing, it doesn't matter. We just need to be in the assembly, sangha of the spiritual agenda. We need to be making sure that we are having the sangha of self-realized souls, so much so that even though we may be getting a scolding, that will be a blessing for the individual. Srila Prabhupada's disciples had this realization that whoever has got scolding from Srila Prabhupada, even though at the time of receiving the scold, the devotees may have felt embarrassed, but each and every one of them invariably have acknowledged that Swamiji's anger is understandable. Swamiji being upset is justifiable. Srila Prabhupada in a couple of occasions had definitely extended his anger over his Vyasa Puja celebrations, deity worship standards, and etc. overseas. So, in that sense, Srila Prabhupada says that it is imperative that each and every one of us learn to acknowledge that every possible contribution of a self-realized soul in our life, whether it is a curse or it is a blessing, it is always going to be trivial for us. So from that perspective, in this episode of Agastya Muni trying to curse Raja Indradyumna, Indradyumna did not have window to clarify, explain and everything. He simply bowed down his head and took shelter and accepted his mistake. So the third reflection hence it is to say that when a Vaishnava is either blessing or cursing, is a boon to one's life. I will recollect interesting story from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and maybe Srila Prabhupada. The story goes where in our um, so the idea of the story. I'll come to the story, but before that, I want to say a point. The idea of that whether it's curse or blessings, it is something that we all should remember, that ultimately everything happens under the purview of the Supreme Lord, and the curse or the blessings, we may not be able to see the long-term effect of the curse or the blessings, and rather we will need somebody's clarification. In case of Durvasa Muni's curse to Indra, may apparently have shaken the kingdom of heavenly planets, but finally they got darshan of Mohini Murti. So when any time when there's a curse, like Nalakura and Manikriva were cursed by Narada Muni, but because the curse also has got a blessings, this has happened to become a game changer in the life of Nalakura and Manikriva. There used to be a king and a minister, and the minister used to always tell the king, whatever has happened, it has happened for good. Every time the minister used to go on and say this. So the king was little taken aback and bit proud, saying that, how are you saying this? I am the king, I am the controller, everything comes to me, and how are you saying that whatever has happened, it happened for the good? So I don't understand that. No, Raja, it is like that only. Whatever has happened, it happened for good. So one day, the king has cut his finger. So in the process of him getting his fingers cut, he was bleeding profusely and he was crying, calling out for help. And he saw the minister. The minister casually said, whatever has happened, it's for good. So the king got very much annoyed. And king said, arrest this minister. And the minister was imprisoned. So the king left for hunting, because that used to be the practices of all the Kshatriya to keep their body physically fit. So the Raja, along with some of his Sena, they went for hunting inside the forest. And in the due course of moving around the forest, the king lost his way and eventually got caught by some group of tribals. These tribals are not ordinary ones. They are high-rated man-eaters, and they had been following some own system. So they decided that now we have got a wonderful offering to give to Ma Durga, to be Kali, and she is our goddess. So they decided to kill the king and give it as an offering to their goddesses. So the king was freaking out, not sure how to react. He was literally pleading. He was king, big king, but he wouldn't, hesitate. He kept on asking, pleading, requesting, crying. They said, nothing doing. You are a gift to us by the Lord, so that we can give an offering to the Lord. So the king had not many options to rescue himself. So they have taken the king in front of the deity. Before taking the deity, they gave him a good bath, new dress, decorated with all scents, and as if they are going to make him as an offering to Ma Kali. So the Raja all the while was thinking, my God, this minister has been saying that whatever is happening is for good. Look at this, I am actually going to die, and so many things. So he was brought to the sacrificial arena, and before even he was going to be chopped, his head was going to be chopped, one of the assembled tribal member noticed the hand which was cut, and there was a band-aid or some sort of a dressing on that wound. So this guy shouted and saying that he can't offer this person to Kali. It's a defective piece. This is not working. This is not going to do it. We have to be very, very serious. So that's when the king really understood the purport of what his minister was saying, that whatever that is happening in our lives has happened for our good. So he completely, in a mood of repentance, he took permission from all of them, because anyway he was going to be useless. So they started hunting for some more prey to be offered. So the Raja ran, and finally reached the palace and went to the minister who was imprisoned and said, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It was my mistake. I did not, I had an oversight. So please forgive me. Whatever you're saying is right. Whatever happens is happening for our good only. So he released the minister from the prison. And after his releasing, he said, I have a question though. The question was, okay, whatever has happened to me, according to your description, it is for my good and I got to see the result. Yes, it is good. But whatever has happened to you, my dear minister, doesn't seem to be resonating like that. Because for no mistake of yours, you are put behind the bars. You are in the jail. Isn't it unfair? So then the minister said, no, my dear Lord, my being inside the prison is also by the arrangement, by the blessings of the Lord. The king asked, how? He said that if I had not been imprisoned, I would have accompanied you in the hunting. And in the process, if not they had offered you, the next possible option to be offered to Mother Kali was me. By the virtue of me being inside the prison, you saved my life. So the formula is, whatever happens, happens for our good. The point is, Prabhupada is explaining that it is beneficial. It is in one sense, it is more beneficial when we get a curse from a self-realized soul, because they are generally not haters. They rather support, facilitate, and try for our revival in Krishna consciousness. So from this Gajendra's episode, we need to remember that even though Agastya Muni had cursed him, he cursed him to become an elephant, because elephant, in spite of the huge body, in spite of the advantage the elephant is having over his body, he is never utilizing them. He always is in a naive position and always at the receiving end. So the Agastya Muni thought that if I give him such a curse, it will be appropriate for the action he has committed. But he didn't realize that Krishna immediately comes for rescue when his near and dear ones are needing some support. So to wrap up the third reflection, I wanted to say that whether it is curse or the blessings, when it comes from a Vaishnava, when it comes from a self-realized soul, it is always having deep insights. So we need to make sure that we have Punya Shravana Kirtana, very sincere, attentive chanting. That way, we will be able to tune up our consciousness, resonating in line with the speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam. The sages of Naimisharanya, they all assembled to solve the problems of this world. And the sages of Naimisharanya are not some ordinary peoples. They had been kings and ministers and who is who as a diplomat. But then Krishna consciousness superseded all those arrangements. So my point I want to say and conclude the third reflection is that it is to be noted that whether a Vaishnava curses or blesses, the net result is glorious, which is to become servant of Krishna. So these are the three sets of reflections that I could identify, churn out from this current context. And I'm sure you all would have been hearing about these glories for a while, and you'll be hearing more. As a duty, I want to say that if somebody is disrespectful, then disaster is any day awaited. If somebody is not giving attention to details, he is bound to make mistakes. And if somebody is always questioning when things go wrong and does not acknowledge when things go right, they can never live at peace, because they are always constantly thinking about how to snub and how to get our brownie points. So these three reflections, combined with those additional points, establishes the fact that Raja Indradyumna, thanks to his previous pious activities and the services that he has done, he was every day chanting and worshipping Jagannatha. So it is to be noted that the person who is constantly glorifying the Lord, one who is constantly serving the Lord, one who is constantly worshipping the Lord, one who is constantly dependent on the Lord, he is above and beyond all the so-called materialistic designation, and he gives utmost attention and love the person to the core. And eventually the third reflection was about the cursing or blessings from a Vaishnava gives us the same destination, gives us the same result, and there is no change in that. It is the same in the case of the Lord, same in the case of Lord's dearest devotees. So here Gajendra is getting his liberation and going to go back home, back to Godhead. But behind this journey, there is definitely some parishrama, some endeavor. That's why Prabhupada says that a Vaishnava's journey cannot be, mocked, cannot be imitated, because his journey, his trajectory, and how fast he can progress, they are all preset. The only thing is that is being asked is surrender under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Without any prejudice, you will be looked after. Thank you all so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaurav Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. If there are any questions, comments, reflections, I'll be happy to take it up. Anybody has any questions or comments? Please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Geeta. Thank you so much
Hi.
for this very enlightening class. I just had a quick question, Prabhuji, regarding the, like you said, full attention we must give. And we know that, when we do the japa, we should do it with full concentration. But do you mind, if it's not too time consuming, to tell us what the apradhas are during japa, so that we do not commit any sins?
There are something called as 10 nama aparats, 10 offenses against the holy name of the Lord. Number 1, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Number 2, to consider the names of the demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, to be equal to or independent of the names of the Lord Vishnu. Number 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and to consider him as an ordinary person. Number 4, to blaspheme a Vedic literature or literature in the pursuance of the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra to gain imagination. Number 6 is to give some mundane interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. Number 7 is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Number 8 is to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas that are fruitive activities, karma kanda. Number 9 is to instruct a faithless person about the glory of the holy name. Number 10 is to not have complete faith in chanting the holy name of the Lord and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. This is our standard prayer that we chant every day in the Mangalarati, in every temple all over the world. Those are all called 10 Nama Apradhs. Apart from this 10 Nama Apradhs, there are Seva Apradh, there are Vaishnava Aparad. So these are all some things that Aparad means against Srimati Radharani. So when somebody is not committing Aparad, there are some shortcomings are easily forgiven. But Aparad is an intention that cannot be easily forgiven. It has to be gone through some purification process. Making sense, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very helpful. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Matarat Pranam to you. Shubhrabhat ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Rupini Padma Devi Dasi from Orlando, Florida, and also Danat Pranam to all the devotees. Prabhuji, like among the offenses, I think the one which has to be very careful about is that we don't commit an offense on the pretext that the holy name will cover up the offenses. So basically, I just heard, so I mentioned this, and of course, inattentive chanting is also not very good. But sometimes we think that I was hearing Prabhupada's lecture. He said that you can chant, and then just like the Christians, what they do, they will go commit some offense and they will go into some box in their church, and then they will ask for forgiveness, and again they will do the same offenses, which is not good. So that is also included in that. So I think it is, I just wanted to mention that that's very important, and I'm saying it for my purification, because as we I'm just saying in context to what I went through, we feel very proud actually that we chant the holy name and the others are not able to chant in this lifetime. And then that once the pride sets in, then it is like it's okay, I'm chanting, I'm great person, so I can say anything or do anything to anyone, and then I'm still great. So on that context, that pride kind of in a very subtle way comes in. So I was just thinking just to highlight, because you said so many of them. So if Mataji, this is the most important, I think. But I could be wrong also. There could be some other also. Just this is my realization.
Thank you all. Thank you so much, and very nice realization. Thank you so much.
Also, Prabhuji, it's so nice to hear when you say that any curse or blessing, of course, is very good. Coming from devotees, Vaishnava is really good. So, and we are learning through these examples. And yesterday, Shamarasika Mataji had mentioned about, Naradji giving a curse in the Damodar Leela, and also like curse of the different rishis, I was thinking that uh, if you can give some input on that also. Yesterday's speaker also spoke. Is it a similar thing, whether Naraji gives a curse or any other ordinary rishi giving a curse? Because sometimes it's like our yesterday speakers mentioning that sometimes it is like a part of a leela, for purification of Gajendra. And sometimes it's for there are different reasons. Even curses have different aspects to it. If you have something to share from your realization, so we can also learn more, like we learned yesterday.
I mean, I don't have very many explanations, but I can definitely give 3 points with respect to curses.
Sure.
As I said, giving attention to the details in love increases. We also give attention to the details of our own personal behavior and conduct. So Krishna evaluates our personal behavior and conduct rather than anything external. So from that standpoint, our getting the necessaries, action sorted out with our near and dear ones, so that we are able to stay afloat as a devotee. So in our Krishna consciousness journey, we can tend to take anything easily, anything for granted. So that is why, to not to take everything for granted, we get to see acharyas repeatedly coming and saying one single thing, that how when we are learning to surrender and glorify the Supreme Lord for the for establishing how we are servants of Him, then He is constitutionally situated, and that constitutional situation will eventually purify all the others who may come in contact with them. So, what the previous day speaker mentioned, I do not know, but definitely we need to remember that we have been given plenty of opportunities from the Lord as a gentleman, and He doesn't even charge any calories, anything that we are burning off His resources. He's simply giving like a father. So we need to make sure that we learn to reciprocate to His feelings as well. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, definitely. We are learning so many aspects of this, like curses, through Gajendra's story. It is, and for me, it is the first time I'm reading through this, and it's so amazing how, that bhakti is so important, Krishna consciousness is so important, that even having done bhakti and then you become an animal, that animal is also transformed, is not a normal animal, so what to speak of us taking another human birth. Definitely there will be a positive aspect to it. So because generally animals are in a mode of ignorance, but still, like in Bharat Maharaj's story, how the deer was not eating green grass, was staying near the rishis ashram. Similarly with the elephant, I mean, he didn't he was although very great king of the whatever, but still he uh, you know um, at the time of distress he remembered the Lord and offered flower. And so it's very when we see the real world and we look at the animals, we cannot understand, we cannot comprehend that animal would do like that. But Bhagavatam has such strong lessons for us to learn, that it's amazing. I feel like through Gajendra's story and through the Bharat Maharaj story, we should even respect an animal and not just think it's an animal, because there's a reason why that animal is made animal by whatever circumstances. So lot to learn here. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I'll go forward. Anybody else has any other questions, comments? Okay, if there are no further questions, we can end here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you so much for this wonderful class as usual. And the three reflections of your class was so amazing. So thank you. I don't have any question, but your classes are really nice. I really appreciate that. We really appreciate that. So anybody has any question or comment? Otherwise, we can end the
Yeah,
call.
and Mataji, I wanted to mention about the story, where the finger was cut. So I wish I can correlate that story to my life. When I'm thinking of something negative, I have to think that, oh, this negative is good, because it's like the king was saved because of the finger cut. So how the minister was thinking so positively. It's like an example of being positive always. Thank you, Prabhuji, for that.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Anybody has any question or comment? Okay. Vancha kalpataruyasya kripa sindhu vaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, ठाकुर की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, जय श्री राम गिरधारी प्रभु की जय. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Hare
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Bol.